Today I want to speak about the identity and how we identify with the ego structure and how we can shift into the identity of the soul. For first, we need to understand what we define as our identity, and this is who we think that we are, and this is our memory, who we are from what we have and what we have done. It is a very externalized perspective of what we attribute to ourselves from the external experiences that then create memories. Those external traumas or dramas or experiences or life configurations create a system in our mind. And this is the way that we perceive life. Our identity is also configured through societal conditioning, through relationship conditioning. And we spend time with other people, with partners, romantic relationships, with work, family. All these relationships create an identity that is conditioned from our family, the ancestral line, things that have been passed down through the genomes of patterns that create behaviors. So there are what in antiquity was called the samskaras, the scars of the soul that need to be brought into wholeness. This means that need to be healed, integrated with the totality of your being once again. The wounds that are around the genetic code to return to the real identity, which is you as love, as a being with a virtue, patient, caring, and all the virtues of the soul. But we can also have this dense vibration where we are attached to certain ways of being and we are attached to certain beliefs and limitations. Because identity equals identity, a dense vibration. Density is the point of identity that is false self, of who we want others to see ourselves or who we want to be and try to pretend to be, or when things aren't unfolding how it should be. This is when we just put the masks ourselves. The invitation in this case is to empower yourself through humility, through purity, through the light of the soul that does not need any mask. Yes, we have these bodies, we have a life, we have roles and responsibilities, we have different relationships in our life, and we have different aspects that are expressed in different containers. The family container, relationship container, work container, community container, and you naturally express yourself different in every case. But the key is to pull off the mask and to be the authentic expression through emanating from your heart. And that takes work because the identity is linked to the ego structure. So what is really the ego? The ego structure is based on the parameters set with conditioning, programming, imprinting of the belief systems, and ways in which we are masking ourselves that creates separation. The transcendence of the ego is to see it clearly, not as the self, but removing all the trauma, all the fragmentations that are also within the soul level. The core of the light of the soul is pure, is whole, and is connected to the cosmic source. The soul had many incarnations, and every incarnation created wounds. It created a baggage, pain, and conditioning that is binding your soul right now. all this needs to be healed. All this needs to come to a place of resolution. Transcending the ego is transcending all that is binding, so that you can be free once again from all these conditionings, from what is not truth, from the limitations of the mind, so you can finally see the truth that has always been here. It was always here. Transcending the ego means dissolving the shadow of the self. That is the key so that you can be free. There's no freedom in the ego, because the ego actually is edging the divine out. So there are two aspects of the ego that everyone needs to evaluate: the positive ego and the negative ego. The negative ego is when you identify with an image, like I am this person, I am this image, I am this character. The positive ego is the aliveness itself, that unique expression of the aliveness of the I am. I am exist, without defining the I like I am this or I am that. I am based on a role that I play that correlates to what society expects from me. So kind of is a very subtle and very important, this difference. So how do you transcend the ego? When you start changing from the human self to the soul self, you start opening up naturally your heart. You open up your energetic centers. You open up your fields. You start expanding and changing your vibration. You start practicing meditation, chanting, doing daily sadhana. It becomes your routine in life. It becomes your stable foundation, and start attributing your human body temple to have all these qualities of the soul, so that the soul can be embodied. When we are locked into the 3D density, the soul can fully enter into the body. There's fragments of the soul, and these fragments in the memory. So the soul can come in when you learn how to heal all these fragments, so that you can become whole again. The more that you open the heart, the more that you raise your vibration, the more that you are capable of holding light, this is the more that you can bring in the whole into the physical expression. So when you start remembering and putting all the parts of the soul light together, it starts unifying all those aspects that once were fragmented, and now they are coming into union, into wholeness. And this is when you start removing all the masks that once identified yourself, and now you start connecting with the very essence of you who you really are. The simple way to remove the density and to re-identify with your soul instead of the human conditioning is when you connect with the qualities of the soul, which are the virtues of the soul. When you remember why you came here, what your soul came here to learn, your vibration starts to shift, and the density of the 3D of the personality, the egoic identity that is based on memory, based on conditioning, based on self-image, and the externalized experience and situations start to be transcended. The transcendence of the ego happens when you connect with the essence of the I am, beyond the stories, beyond the wounds, beyond the limitations. This is what prevents me to experience who I am, which is the drop of the water prevents you to experience the ocean itself. To evolve from that, you go from the I based to the we based. And then on the unity, you go to the greater I am. That is the process of transcending the ego, the narrative, the story, the script of the self-defined personage. The ego is characterized by shaming, blaming, guilting, criticizing, looking at the space from a subjective perspective, and creating separation. The negative ego does not know unity. It only knows duality. It only knows how it is different, and it is looking the difference to shame, to guilt, to blame, to be a victim. The negative ego comes about the most hidden ways, because the most of the time one is not even aware that the ego is acting from this structure. And the only way that you can see when you judge and criticize others, this is when you can see the ego that is performing. This is the moment that the ego creates separation, division. It sees the other person or other being, the very thing that is within itself. And because it is criticizing, it is something that the ego rejects from within. Therefore, there's no way that you can see within yourself this pattern, because you reject it. So how can you recognize if you are in the midst of this negative ego? It disallows the true connection with the divine. Everything that we are judging outside of us is a reflection of what lies within us. For example, if you judge someone that they may be selfish or they don't treat you with respect, at this moment, this means that you are incapable to see that you are not treating yourself with respect. And you don't love yourself enough so that the experience that you attract is creating the same pattern. Then you may find yourself blaming to be with a person that does the same thing that you do within yourself, but you don't recognize within you. In the most hidden ways, in the most subtle ways, you can see it. Or maybe you are looking for someone to complete you, to do the opposite that you are able to do with yourself. Yet it doesn't work this way. You always attract what you do, what you are, what you vibrate within you. So when you shift from the negative to the positive ego, you start to feel greater, deeper connection with the sacred presence within you. And that's unifying with the God self and source. When you are able to see the light and the love within you, then you are able to see the same principle in the people that surround you. You are unifying with all that surrounds you, and you start experiencing wholeness. It's about the purity of the heart, purifying the heart through devotion, through humility, through humbleness in every moment, showing up in that conviction of love, in wholeness, in gratitude, patience, and all the virtues of the soul. When you come from the witness perspective and observe the small self, the ego self, the child, see all that is occurring from a detached perspective, you are far beyond every single detail that previous was triggering you. How do you refine your perception? What happens when you transcend it? This is not a judgment. This is not a cosmic assessment of worth not a reward, not a punishment. Separation of the bands is an organic, natural process. It's like a radio signal that is received clearly only by receivers that has calibrated to the frequency. For example, if you are approaching life from a place of judgment, defense mechanisms, victimhood, you are experiencing a 3 density. If you are approaching life from a place of balance, there may be days in which we still feel some suffering, some triggers that coming to the surface, and then you approach them with genuine honesty, humbleness, and allow the trigger to dissolve into the awareness of your being. You are experiencing life from the 4th density of transformation. The world is mirroring what is going inside of us constantly. When we are okay with what is happening now and what you feel now, you shift the results because what you are experiencing is a reflection of what is going inside of you. When you fully surrender, when you fully accept, there's no battles, and then life projects the same within you. Every moment you accept, you stop resisting and you allow. This helps you to transcend and accept the little parts of yourself that are in fear, the ones that they feel they are not enough. While you are doing this, you transcend the illusion and you believe that something external completes me. Because this comes with the idea that I am incomplete. When you make your soul more important than the external circumstances, you get both. When you make the external circumstances more important than the soul, you lose both. The transitioning from the 4th density into the 5th density is if you are approaching life from a place of unconditional love, from a place of stable presence, unity, surrendering to what is unfolding with no expectations, embracing life with joy. You are experiencing the 5th density, which means you are transitioning and crossing the portal into the new golden age, the Satya Yuga, the new earth, the 5th-day consciousness, whatever you want to call it. You are experiencing what matches your frequency. The external reality is a mirror of what is inside you. Not the frequency you are aspiring to, or the frequency of the self-image, but the one that you consistently embody in your daily choices, in your inner states, the moment-to-moment orientation. This is not about speaking of high consciousness, but embodiment. How you live and approach your daily choices. It requires presence and honest approach without agenda. All of this and more, this is what we are speaking, transmitting, and cultivating in our Rose Temple. This is the community that helps to transcend this stage of the transcend ego from the 3rd dimension into the 5th density, into the new golden age, the Satya Yuga that we are transitioning right now. Also, you can see the following video, which calls about the new golden age and what nobody told you about the golden age that may be helping you to understand why it is so important in this moment. If you want to receive more of all that we create as community building, just share, connect with us with this Rose Temple, and just be part of the community that is shifting into this new reality. Until the next video, I send you all my love and namaste.